I know that I just met. Telma, Luís, thank you so much. We are in Teatrul Gong. We are in during the International Theatre Festival in Sibiu. I'm very glad to be here. We've done our story goes back far away land, which is Sibiu European Capital of Culture 2007. But then stayed along and of course working since for the theater here in Sibiu. I'm very happy of this meeting because we can talk about Circostrada. I will leave you to explain a bit what is the network about, what is your status within the network. You also have a professional life of your own, so to speak. I mean, I would like very much to know a bit about that. And just for our audiences listening, it's also about what you can see during this festival. Maybe you have time to come along. What you can see in general, what types of shows. I will address then this question then as well. And why not for young actors or young professionals that would be interested in knowing more about this type of network. What's the membership like? What are your strategy of developing? You just mentioned beforehand about your outside Europe extension. So yeah, please, by all means, you have the floor, this online floor.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be here today. It's always nice to be able to contribute to such a beautiful project. So my name is Telma. I work as a project manager for an outdoor arts festival in Portugal, which led me to take part of Circostrada and now being a member of the steering committee, so that's why I'm also here representing them and letting you know a little bit about Circostrada. Yeah. It's the leading European network to support outdoor arts and contemporary circus. So we're based in Europe, we're financed by Creative Europe and also led by Artisana, which is mainly supported by the Ministry of Culture in France. But we do operate not only in Europe, but also abroad, making connections with Japan and South Africa. We're going to Mexico this year. So it's also to see what's going on and leading trendings at the moment. But the main operations of the network has to do with advocacy to support really the recognition and visibility of outdoor arts. So that's like the main core activity or the main core work that the network promotes. We have more than 150 members across 45 countries, which is,
it's huge in weight
and representation. What more can I say? We do promote annual events such as this one, and that's why we're here in Romania to welcome AGM, which is the annual general meeting of the members of
Which you will host next year, yes? Okay.
Which I will host next year, so we can speak a little bit more about that.
Fast forward.
I know that Dan wanted to share some tips. In
because
the
I needed some advice also from the previous organizers of the Antonia was very helpful. Yes, she gave me some.
Is great.
Yes, and please don't forget about the bounce program because it's important level of young artists.
So we've been starting AGMs. Maybe I can give some context about also what is an AGM and what are the focus and how the program works. So usually AGMs take 2-3 days, and it's the space where the members can be involved and take ownership in the democratic work of the network. so to speak. So we can actually understand what's going on, what the network has been doing. It's also where the board collects information from the members, what they need, what are the critical points, what they need to reinforce and intervene. So it's basically about creating this network and supporting the members collecting information, but also to connect the board with the local environment.
I think it's a very interesting point that you also do, so to speak, grassroots connection. So not only the members but also the local.
Yes, it's also for the members that come and the board to really connect what is the local environment in terms of the outdoor arts and the specificities of the work and the artists and the relevance the role that it has in Sibiu in this case particularly, and how is welcome and perceived by the audience, by the politicians. What kind of politics do you have to?
It sounds so normal, which I like. I mean, policy with the politicians.
They asked me before, please, somebody from it would be extraordinary to come, somebody from the Ministry of Culture, maybe even the minister, and exactly this moment, the best way.
It's not the best way in politics.
And speaking about publications, we have this incredible publications because always it's something connected with the AGM publication, which means something like interviews with the local, speaking about the local scene and so on. And some interviews, it's kind of a policy brief. The policy brief will be launched later. Julia Popovic, and we have also a sectoral mapping, also realized by our team. Looking for all the Romanian NGOs, public institutions organizing festivals, artistic venues, residencies.
Mapping is always a good idea.
And also this incredible kits of touring in Romania. It's you will see it. It's amazing. Really,
So one of the other axes of the work in the network is obviously the advocacy, but also about creating knowledge, sharing knowledge, and it has, and obviously collecting data, which is really important to support the applications, to support the work, and to really bring the legitimacy of what we are doing. So each time that the network goes to somewhere, it connects with local artists, with local researchers, with local venues, and really try to discover and collect data to promote what's going on and to bring that awareness of what is being doing, to bring the light to the work that people such Dan itself is doing in a local and regional state. And those works are then for free. Be available online to everyone.
Also online, yes.
Hopefully. Now, and apropos membership, and apropos these outdoor shows that are invited, for example, for this edition of the International Theatre Festival in Sibiu. Dan, how would you do the selection? I mean, what are, not all the criteria, but several criteria that you use? For example, of course, you reach out to the Circostrada members. How would you approach them? How do you match this with the budget? Because if it will be outside Europe, then we'll have a problem for outdoor arts to move here and there. So how would you explain to, of course, young audience and not necessarily or just curious people how it would look like to work such a, I mean, for half an hour that you see and enjoy, it's loads of work.
Yes, it's a lot of work, and for sure, Telma as organizer of festival also she knows more about this whole selection process, but I think it's everywhere totally different, I think, because for example I don't travel a lot. I would like to, but I cannot travel a lot because I had also a period with when my parents were in bad health situation, so I had to stay here, but afterwards I tried to see some festivals. Of course, not always the financial support is not the same. I am lucky when some festivals are inviting me, paying at least accommodation or or
apropos mobility, because mobility is always a thing. Yeah.
And because also, I cannot explain to the city council that I'm not going there just to visit Pisa Tower or something like this, but I really need to see performances live, because it's totally changing your perspective. For example,
not only photos and videos.
Sibiu, the director from Gong, because we are now in Gong, he recommended me 2 years ago Chema Munoz with a performance. He had Chema here in hosting him in the theater with another performance, of course, indoor performance. And he highly recommended him, but when I received the video, I thought, oh my God, where should I find such a place? Because he needs a calm place, not somewhere very circular. Yes. It was something like maybe you remember Casa Toic, the place where the festival started. It's very intimate, but it was complicated because they shot the space at 5 o'clock, so it's not good. So finally, I saw the show in Fiera Targa last year, and I realized that, oh my God, I have to find a solution. And I found two locations in Huet Square, where it is more calm, and Haberman, where even it is more crowded, but he did it very well, and yesterday it was really a success. So this is essential.
If I can just support what you are saying, it's just we work with an external artistic direction for the festival. I'm just introducing. I'm project manager of the festival and the creation center that we have in Santa Maria da Feira, Portugal. Because I forgot to mention.
Anyway, we'll put a link so that people who listen can just go for.
I'm dreaming to visit again. Yes,
you need to come.
Of course,
just underlining the importance of going abroad and seeing shows. It's really a portfolio that you are creating. Sometimes you can program it immediately and you know where it's going to fit.
Exactly.
You have an idea of the narrative that you are constructed, but other times you just have it in the draw for later that can work, that you can invite them, that you can even start some collaborations with local artists to have a specific piece for something. So
great, you mentioned it because
absolutely
it's really like
important for programmers to go abroad, and it's really the work they've been doing. It's to know what pieces fit where and the purpose of what you're doing to create some transformation within the city. It's a really important thing, and I've been in contact with them actually, because sometimes we exchange some emails. Of course. How do you feel about this company?
Not as soon as we wish to do it, but time is so. Yes,
but he's always been so welcoming in my questions, and I think that the other way around.
This is how he is welcoming.
I'm looking very often to the program, of course, of different festivals, and when I realized that, for example, Telma
we have
invited some shows which were also, or I would like to invite. It's it's like enlightening you. So, oh my God, I have the same feelings, and because I'm selecting. I'm not I don't have a background of artist. I'm an engineer. I discovered the festival in the streets after I quitted my logistic job in the festival, because after 10 years I really felt like, my God, I have to breathe.
But now you have experience, even if you don't have a formal one.
14 years. So
that's what I'm saying.
But I discovered the street performances. I realized it was something like love at first sight. And I realized that I can do it even without, of course, some cultural exchanges and so on. But in fact, I think, speaking about soul, the theme of this year's edition, I think all my choices are in connection with my feelings, my soul, how I feel the performance, the artist, and thinking always to his possible connection with the audiences, because looking at the audience is all the time my favorite time of after the festival.
You don't look at the show, you look at the people.
Looking at the photos done by the professional team of the festival. They are incredible. You see, I think it's the best audience research, let's say, because you see really the faces of the audiences. Because how could you realize exactly which kind of survey? Maybe you started also some surveys. How do you proceed to know better your audiences?
It's good because I wanted to express this idea with the audience.
I know one is your topic, your favorite topic.
Yeah, we did some surveys this year, but last year actually we had an intern that conduct a survey for her master that has to do with well-being related to the arts.
Yes.
And we had like these amazing outcomes, how people describe the impact after seeing a show and how their well-being and motivation and happiness were in another level. And from both surveys, what we realized is that people come to have connection. A connection with something. Yeah. They look for the festival to connect with others. They look for the festival to connect with themselves, to have a cultural experience, to feel better afterwards, feel happiness. So this sort of care for one another, it's really in depth with the experience of the audience in the festival. So it's really a bet on the social well-being.
Yeah. And apropo audience, and I will address it for Sibiu because we can talk in years now. How would you, and you said you also have this empirical approach apropo audiences, but how would you say the public in Sibiu, not only the people living in Sibiu, the people that are coming to this time, especially for this festival, how can you say it has developed, it has grown, it has diversified? How would you see this type of audiences? Also for outdoor, I mean, because maybe
I will speak mainly for
because indoor is another thing, but outdoor is very open to anyone, and actually it's on one hand harder to grasp the audiences because they can pop up if they just come. So can you?
Yes, it's quite a bad. Yes, because it's so complicated, and always I'm thinking how to know more about this. I would like, for example, to know how many foreign visitors come, especially for this festival. Also, I thought that the AGMs can be organized during the weekends, and I was very sad that I heard that the strategy is to organize them during the week, because this is how people in this area work. So I feel a little bit sad because the atmosphere in the weekends is totally different. A huge mass of people, crowds, really in a big square, as you know, point zero of the festival. Yeah. But also during the week is not the same atmosphere.
Working days are
but I heard that some of our participants will stay also for Friday, maybe some of them also Saturday, and I hope they will discover really also this atmosphere for the weekends. And speaking about audiences again, it's something like really a bet we have with them, because I really want to see each representation, in fact, because each performance has more representations usually. I think in your case maybe it's the same or less.
They have usually
because you don't want to
miss maybe 4 in 2 days, and at least at one of them I need to be there just for the audiences, just to see the reactions, just to see how the artists keep the audiences, keep the relation with the audiences. I was really intrigued when one of the actors, Joan Català, I'm looking for him for so long, and finally I succeeded to invite him. He's very special artist.
Inner struggle.
Yes. As Telma told, sometimes an idea is staying like we have in a you keep them longer just to be more. So it's like our ideas. You have an idea and you keep it.
And the proposition also has to be programmed on time when the audience is ready to receive it.
This is really important.
It's also a pathway that you are building with your audience in terms of audience.
Good point.
You need to prepare the audience. Sometimes you need also to disrupt a little bit and to shock and to provoke. Because what we're doing is especially betting on transformation of the city, of the mentality. It's really not just
you have to take it.
Not only entertainment.
It's not just entertainment. This is a two-way street with the audience, and the propositions in the shows has to be in line with that. So sometimes they need to stay in a drawer or in the oven, as you were saying.
It is exactly what I am feeling. Yes.
So you can put them in the right moment. Either is about the audience, but also about politics, as we were saying before. You need to do an intervention. You need to make a statement, or your audience is now ready to see some kind of proposals that you are doing. Because Dan was mentioning, and it's really true, you have this immediate feedback with the audience, and you need that relation for some shows to work on public space.
I would like to address a bit before we end up apropos the policy, because I'm interested in this approach, which is a long term but also very well, actually, as you stay firm today, but your eyes in the future. This is how I very superficial see this cultural policies. Hopefully. But apropos this type of approach of advocacy, how would you see that? I mean, do we speak about policy at a national level, for example, in Romania? Maybe there we can stay a bit, but also at a European level. I'm also in it became one of my favorite networks, Culture Action Europe, and actually they work quite a lot on different levels. But they do a lot of advocacy, and I can see the struggle and the pinpoints they are doing, and also the network on, and the membership that really matters in very specific networks like yours. I mean, it's focused on a certain very broad, but on a very certain domain. How would you see, for example, a pathway from an idea to a policy brief, and if you are optimist that this brief can go on? And one very specific matter, if we are talking about policy at a local level or at a national level, because at a local level maybe you are a bit more agile, because it's it's more approachable, but at national level, in Romania at least, it will be very, very hard, because you mentioned also the Ministry of Culture. I mean, it's too far reached.
I believe I can share.
Please.
I believe I can share 2 points of view. One from Circostrada, who's obviously is working on an European level and collecting all this data locally, regionally, with the partners, and to construct this kind of network of data that they can then use for advocacy on a higher level. And we are now actually debating the Agora EU new funding, new circular funding for creating the next program. And we are being very agile and very political involved in this matter, in the network spectrum that I'm now speaking. But I'm also able to speak on a national level in Portugal and how the network contributes for it. 10 years ago we hosted, next year will be 10 years that we hosted Fresh, which is one of the programs of the network that I also mentioned. And that actually led to Circus and outdoor arts being recognized and our artistic discipline in Portugal. And they were able then to start
I didn't know that. Excellent.
Apply for supporting and grants in Portugal. So this type of encounters and this type of presence from the network is very important on the national and regional level. So it can really reinforce and bring visibility to the sector
needs.
Yes, for sure.
Speaking about the national level, because Telma just mentioned the situation in Portugal, it was just a coincidence. I found it only 3 months ago. I and it's quite amazing because this year we host this Circostrada meeting, and it will be launched the first 4-year program in the University of Educație Fizică, Sport.
Sport,
I think in Bucharest. After it was Brândușa Novak launched it, and after 25 years of fight with all this
so
stuff.
It's a bachelor. I mean, it's faculty.
It's a faculty level, and she told me that she will start vice versa from the faculty level to go to the lower levels up to the school.
To the high schools.
Yes, because this is the way it was possible, and she tried to do it in the University of Drama, but it was finally impossible there. So she switched to this kind of people who are more to this field of acrobatics, speaking about.
But it's a very smart move. We will put the link
30 places, 30 students will start this in circus arts. It's amazing. It's amazing. And always in Romania, it's looking at the sectoral mapping, which will be included in this publication, printed publication, also online. You will see, it will be launched these days. You will see that we have a big number of festivals, but unfortunately, in comparison, the number of Romanian artists is not so high. So because they don't have
national level.
Yes, there are really a lot of festivals. You see, and they are not only outdoor festivals, but they have a section of 2-3 days. As Seas in Constanța, they have Sea Street, like a 3-day section, and they want to extend it, I heard. So, but the Romanian artists didn't have the chance to have a network of festivals. For example, I don't know if in Portugal is, but for sure in Italy, France, they can, even they are not invited abroad, they can present their shows in their country, which is really extraordinary. So I'm trying to benefit of this occasion to launch this, because we'll have something like a meeting with dedicated to the Romanian voices and to the regional voices.
In the schedule.
And we have some guests also from the countries around Romania. And for example, Antonia mentioned a result of their AGM in Split in 2023. It was my first AGM, and after that, in 1 year, I launched this idea why Sibiu cannot host such a AGM. And we are the only members in Romania of Circus. So I'm very happy that I did it in 2-3 years. And
which is a small thing when you are talking about.
And Antonia told me Dan, after the meeting, our politicians at the governmental level decided to include, as we have, tell me the name of the
Cayenne.
No, it is under the Ministry of Culture. It is a structure.
Okay.
We have AFCN. They this kind of AFCN, Croatian AFCN, launched a special program with money for this for the circus and outdoor arts, which is really great, mainly for circus in their case, because they are working mainly in the circus.
I think you need different type of budgets when you are talking about outdoor arts.
And this is why I think it's very important to. I hope, and I explained also to the independent artists. I can admit that we, as a public institution of culture, in your case, is not a public institution, or it's
we
also
are funded. This is also an interesting example, because we are funded by the municipality. We are a project from the municipality. It's really a bet from the municipality to have a festival like this.
And also here is very important that the municipality involves,
and they recognize the importance and the power of street arts. And if we are talking like locally, and that you were saying that it takes like 10 years to see some results, we can say Imaginarius started in 2001. So we just had our 25th edition, and we have a lot of artists that were little kids.
Oh my God!
Yes, in the first edition. And this led to the creation of a network of artists and people that grew with, seeing the huge street theater companies coming to their town and just open the doors and be able to see the world through it. And they grow up, they studied arts, and they're now applying to the grant supports that we have to creation and to presenting at the festival. So we call it a generation Imaginarius.
Wow.
And you can see actually the outcome and an impact that this thought of.
And you mentioned they studied
they studied art, theater. We have a school which is Inac in the north of the country that is dedicated to Circus.
Circus, okay.
Yes. And we also have another one in the south, but not higher level. But they are professional
this will be
schools.
a faculty or
professional schools. Yes. And we actually have students coming from Brazil, Mexico.
3 years, 2 years.
And I discovered it is the first time when I was trying, and it seems we succeeded to do it. It's a lot of work trying to select performances and making this incredible puzzle of programming in such a big number of venues. But it was the first time we accepted some workshops proposed by the artists, and I thought, let's benefit of them because they are free anyway, and they included them in the artistic, in the financial offer. So we tried to do it because only the indoor section organized this kind of master classes or workshops. And now the first time we have 3 workshops, and all the 30 seats available were already booked, which is really incredible. Yes.
Congrats, because
it's a little bit more work, but it's such an important. Yes, they can be the next, the future artists. Yes, because they are amazed of what's happening in the streets. We are amazed how the acrobats are doing this kind of figures and. And speaking about a little bit between this, it's sometimes always in Romania, and not only Romania, I'm sure, it's a big difference between being a public institution financed by the city halls, by the ministry, and the independent sector. You know very well because you have a lot to do with the independent sector. Yes, and always. Some people from the independent sector look to us something like Sibiu Festival. They have a huge money, and they somehow put us aside. Really? But this year I tried to explain them, and we launched a call for the Romanian artists independent stage scene. And we were amazed. There are a lot of people applying, and we selected 3 performances from this application, and part of them who are not selected will come to this local Romanian meeting, Romanian Voices section on Thursday. And this is what I want to invite them to forget these gaps, these differences between the budget of the public institution and the budget which they can get, and to try to launch something like collaboration and networking. For example, I heard a lot about countries like also in Croatia, I think Serbia also, they started in Germany, I heard, when we had the AGM. I heard that only for 9 years, 10 now, that they started like putting together more associations connected with these disciplines, and they started to create a network. And being a network, you are more powerful. You can go to the level, you can go to the government and say, we are this,
and we are
we want to and we want more recognition and more money for doing this. So I hope Sibiu will be the starting point, because we cannot be like a public institution being the initiator of this kind of movement, but we can organize the framework and the space where they can talk and ask for their rights a little bit more than.
And Circostrada actually does not interfere directly, but it gives the tools and the knowledge that this kind of actions take place. It's building a safe space when artists can connect with programmers and organizations can come out of it to better defend the
and it was great yesterday because it was the launching of the SIPAM. You were there?
I wasn't. I couldn't attend.
So it was yesterday the launching of the SIPAM,
yes.
And at the Presidium there were some foreign guests, of course, Mr. Chiriac and also Alice Bruno, the coordinator of Circostrada. And Alice, at one moment, Bogdan Trâmbaciu was late a little bit, 2 minutes, and his place was exactly from the Ministry of Culture, and exactly his chair was exactly near Alice. And Alice, when he took the word, he invited him directly to participate in this joint activity on Thursday.
Like a little ambush?
Yes. It was like, because I sent her a message, he's the guy who should be there. So yeah, I hope he's very supportive and really did a lot also for the patrimony. It's a special, and it is good that this kind of people are staying in the ministry, even the heads of the ministry moves from.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we already passed our minutes.
Yes, it was fast and intense.
Thank you so much. I think it was quite interesting to touch such so many topics also for the guys that want to get in. I mean, for the young professionals and young actors that are interested in this field, and why not for the senior ones that want to continue continuous education and training, which is, I think, is important for all of us. But also about this type of network, and how would you prepare actually to be a win-win situation for all members, so not only in one country specific or one place specific or for one festival in particular, but for the benefits of all colleagues.
It's actually how we connect.
Exactly. Yes, because Portugal is far in the west and Romania far in the east. So I
think this is a great example of how the network actually.
Yes. Because when you look on the map, Telma, there is all kind of maps, and also this new cooperation. You see the maps with the festivals. Oh, it's a huge concentration of festivals. European, Central Europe, and Western Europe, and Romania is somewhere far away, and that's why I insisted. What other chance you could have in this festival to promote Sibiu and to promote Romania, other one that inviting these people who will go everywhere in the world
and then connect.